Zidane will not resign. The Champions League is set for a shake-up. Brexit means transfer rules for the Premier League, a transfer roundup, and today's great debate all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Froelich, you are the OneFootballers, and this is the Daily News. So Zinedine Zidane will not resign. That is according to the man himself, who was speaking after his Real Madrid side lost to Shakhtar last night in the Champions League, and it meant that the Ukrainians did the double over his side. They fell to a 2-0 defeat, and it now means that they've only got one win in their last 5 games. Not exactly the form you'd expect from a team that was expected to challenge for the Champions League and the defending champions in La Liga. They now face a bit of an uphill battle to qualify for the knockout round of the Champions League. And can you imagine Real Madrid dropping into the Europa League? It would almost be unfair. I mean, there'd be ridiculous expectations on them to win it, so a lot more pressure for Zidane. As for whether or not the board would then go ahead and sack him, I'm not so sure. Like, Zidane did amazing things with the club, then left, then came back and then bought them the title in an era which looked like it was set for Barcelona domination, so I don't think they should be too hasty just yet. But having said that, things are not looking very good for them, and many of the criticisms aimed at Zinedine Zidane this season is that his side don't really have a direction of play. They sort of kind of get it forward in some good areas and then just sort of hope that someone's going to be able to get on the end of it. Eden Hazard definitely isn't bringing his finest form. That's not necessarily Zidane's fault, but obviously he did sanction a pretty big move for the Belgian playmaker. But on top of this, they just don't really have the attacking fluency that we've seen in the last few years. Of course, last season, their title victory, especially towards the end, was mainly built on being solid defensively and loads of 1-0 wins towards the end of the campaign. That isn't really going to help them when it comes to this season, especially with the fact that in La Liga there are so many good attacking teams who are managing, once they get through their defence, to then not concede, because Real Madrid look rather blunt in attack. With Hazard's injury as well on top of this, and it looks like the likes of Marco Asensio, Odegaard and others haven't really hit their best potential just yet, they may struggle going forwards. So how long do we think Zinedine Zidane is going to last? You guys let me know in the comment section down below, but I think he'll be okay for the next few months. Next up then, and a big shake-up for the Champions League. From 2024, the Champions League will be changing its format, and there are a load of ideas being thrown around, and the latest one is that it's going to change to a Swiss format, where apparently each team is going to play 10 games all against different opposition. Now, this is basically because there'll be one big table, and then it'll advance to the knockout rounds from there. The reason being is that effectively UEFA are trying to mirror what this potential Super League was going to be. We all know that all of the big teams are going to break off, apparently set up a Super League where they all play against each other and get loads of money, and there was relegation and promotion and all this other nonsense. So UEFA are kind of adapting to the fact they do not want to lose all of their biggest teams and the biggest money spinners in their competitions. This means that every single team, like I said, will play each other. There'll be more scope for the big teams to play other big teams. And on top of all of this, the payout for each win, each draw, each loss would be so big from UEFA that it would basically mean that the teams would accept it, and it would hopefully put them off from going into a European Super League. Now, at the moment, you're probably thinking, oh, UEFA are doing it for the money. Oh, it's going to be a terrible change, this, that, and the other. Those are the kind of things that were thrown out when they last changed the group stage. Certainly when they changed the group stage and added in one extra round as well in, I believe it was the early 2000s, maybe late 90s. It's not the rebranding, by the way, from the European Cup to the Champions League. It's the reformatting of how the Champions League works. So the last time it was done, there was opposition, and now it's become the absolute norm. So I think when the same happens, yes, it'll be a bit weird at the beginning, but everyone will just kind of get over it and move on. The important thing is that we'll see the best teams and the best players face off against each other, because that's what the Champions League is, the League of Champions. What it would mean, though, is that with 4 extra group stage games, that the group stages will potentially spill over into January and February. Now, for most leagues, this wouldn't really be an issue, but for England, they've got another stupid, time-wasting, ridiculous cup competition in the League Cup, so just scrap it. Just get rid of it, or change it to an under-320 competition, or whatever. It is so unnecessary for so many teams to be bogged down with these midweek games, more Champions League games, and then going to have to play the League Cup where they're just going to play their kids anyway. It really doesn't make much sense. You'll probably find out the teams in the Champions League, maybe even the Europa League as well, will just forfeit, will just give up their place, and it can be left to be fought out between the other teams in England. But talking of England, and something that's going to affect them massively, and it's Brexit. Now, we were all wondering what happens when England leave the EU. How's it going to work with technically every European player being a foreign player? Well, the rules are in, and it's actually not looking good for foreign players in the UK, but it is looking good for English football. Basically, some of the rules are that England clubs won't be able to sign any overseas player under the age of 18. In recent history, this would mean something like Cesc Fabregas, for example, joining Arsenal at age 16. That wouldn't happen. That can no longer happen. They can only sign 3 players under the age of 21 in the January transfer window and only 6 under the age of 21 during the whole season. After all of this, the EU players who want to come to England, whichever age, will have to apply for a work permit, and whether or not they get this permit to play in the Premier League or any other division is based on quite a few things. There's a point system, and it goes alongside the quality of the league, the club, the position they're in, how many times they've played, the caps of their country, all sorts of different things. Basically what you see now when someone from South America or Central America comes over to the Premier League, there's a whole system of whether or not they get their work permit, and yeah, England are going to have this in place. I know this makes it sound ridiculously difficult, but from an English football fan's point of view, I'm kind of excited. This means that up until 18 years old that the English players will be given a chance to blossom. It means that maybe, just maybe, clubs will start looking at their own youth academy and really bring up the level of talent which is only going to help serve the national team in the future. I'm not saying that the foreign imports are bad, because they are brilliant. Some of the EU players that have come in have been absolutely sensational, especially from a young age. But just giving the younger players a chance will surely benefit them in the long run. Moving on then to a quick roundup of the rest of the day's transfer news that you might have missed, where Manchester United, Tottenham and Chelsea are all monitoring Brighton's Ben White. Jean-Clair could be recalled to Barcelona from Benfica, as he hasn't played a minute of action on his current loan spell. Elsewhere, and Arsenal are still keeping an eye on Norwich City's attacking midfielder Emi Buendia. And lastly but not least, Barcelona midfielder Riqui Puig, who has been offered to Leeds on loan, has also been offered to RB Leipzig and AS Monaco. Finally then, we come to this week's great debate. This is where the guys in the OneFootball newsroom ask all of you a question, and they want to know your answer in the comment section below. Of course, you can find their and my answer in the relevant article in the OneFootball app. But for the comment section, we want to know who is the dark horse in this year's Champions League competition. For me, it's always difficult to actually name the dark horse, because someone like Dortmund, are they a dark horse? They've got some of the best young players in the world. They've reached finals before and won a Champions League. But for me this season, it has to be Sevilla. They're dominating the Europa League. They've done that. We all know that you're kings of the Europa League, Sevilla. How about just once, maybe making a dent in the Champions League, going, I don't know, maybe to the Final Four? I think they've got a great squad full of experienced players, young attacking talents, and a majority of which won the Europa League last season, so they know how to win a European trophy. I really think this could be their year, certainly to get to at least the Champions League semi-finals. That's all from me then. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you check out the rest of the stuff we've got going on OneFootball, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.